All right. Hello, everyone. Gyro here, recording this off of my laptop instead of the webcam and all that. This is going to be the post-mortem of the Suzuka 1000. And there's some things I'm happy about. There's some things I'm like, you can improve on. And then there's some things that really need to be brought out and addressed. So some of you are going to go, well, Dwayne, what's your credentials? Well, I did some research. If you see my eyes look up, I have my large monitor and then the camera is right there. So this year we've had a third at the 12 Hours of Sebring. We had a fifth in TCR at Mission Pilot Challenge at Sebring. We had an eighth at Portimao for the Global Endurance Tour. We had a sixth Global Endurance Tour at Long Beach. Had a fifth in GTO at the Road America 500. We had a P3 recently in GT4 for the Nürburgring Endurance Challenge. That was in the Merc GT4. Road America was GTO. I mentioned that. Cool. At Magny-Cours, we won the 6-hour Daytona race. We were P4. Portimao 1000, we were P7. We were P20 at Road America for GT Endurance, and then the following week at Silverstone, P13. We were P2 at Le Mans. We were P11 at RBR, also GT Endurance. We were P4 in GT4 at the Nürburgring for the Sports Car Endurance Challenge. We were P6 in the Global Endurance Challenge in GT3. And then 13th at the Indy 6 Hour. And this weekend at Suzuka, we had 4 attempts. P13, a did not start. The car got wrecked. We didn't even make 10 laps. A victory and a 6th place. So pretty good standard for the faster cars. And I do have some slow cars, like some Clio results. The Toyotas were very much all over the place. That's why I stopped racing Production Endurance Challenge. They were a little bit too aggressive. So the first thing I want to mention, and yes, my lips are very dry, is iRacing is really on to something with a fixed distance format. So as far as I know of, and those in the comments you'll correct me, you have the Road America 500, which is about 800 kilometers. And then you have the 3,000 kilometer races. You have Bathurst for the supercars, Portimao for HPD, GT1s, and Ford GT2. And then this one, the Suzuka 1000K. Much better choice than the old 10 hours at Suzuka, which was in 21 and 22. And then it went to Fuji for a couple of years. Some of you may remember Mark, Paul, and I raced the Ford GT3 for the last time in a special event and ended up on the podium. We were just faster than everyone in a straight line. We chose the meme car. That was the Powerpuff Girls livery, for those who remember. So I really like the fact that you have one 10-hour race. That's Petit Le Mans. That's the way to go. 1000K, very, very nice. Give it 5 time slots as you did. Also a big plus. And now if people screw up one, they're not put out. They get into the next one and carry on. I actually liked the fact it was dry. It's the last special event of the year for GT3s. It's the next to last special event because you have the new as in capitals, production card challenge one. Haven't seen specifics on that yet. You know what I know. But that's sometime in December. But the fact that it was dry conditions, I think was very wise. I also like the fact of track state. You didn't have a consistent track state over the 4 splits. You had one that was at 0, you had one that was 65%, you had one that was 44%, you had one that was 21%. So that was a very good test of the teams saying, can you make the adjustments? What won us time slot 3 was CART realizing there was not enough ARB in the rear. He cranked it up, and all of a sudden the car was magical. We ran a very similar setting in time slot 4, went 56-6. Had an outside chance for top 5. You can't ask for anything more. So I really like the race strategy bit. Because you really had to think your way. You could do big fuel save. You could try to just hit 29 to 173 laps. If you did 6:29s, you got home. And because it's a fixed distance race, you're not having to worry of, hey, do I need to carry an extra amount of fuel? Once the leader's over the line, that's it. So those were the good things. Now the bad things. And there's an ugly thing column, which I'm going to get to. The BOP was not right. I do not agree with the Mustangs getting a weight cut. Yes, you gave it a power cut, but I still think it should have been 10 kilos and at least 1.5% off. I don't think the BOP was done correctly. The Mercedes fuel was very touch and go. I wonder about that as well. The Aston, I think, was fairly bopped. Some of the other cars, I went, I would have to drive them before I make an adjudication. At the time of start, they started this at early in the morning. I would have liked it in sim starting at 9. Because now you go basically 9 to 3. The track's a little warmer. It's a little bit more slippy. It's slightly more challenging. Not to say it wasn't a challenge. When I get to the ugly, you'll see what I'm talking about. And some of you don't do math. In time slot 4, we had a car that missed fueled by 4 laps, and they were lucky to get on the podium. They basically ran a lot of 28s and realized they were not going to make it. We had a Mercedes in our split. I think they were second. I think they ended up second. They misfueled. So, math. We got the race management part right. We got all the points we were going to get and then some. Because we did the homework. You have to have an idea of how you're going to go about these. And some of you did, but some of you didn't. And that's the nature of an endurance race like this. You have those who are going to do it for fun. You have those a little bit more serious. So, it makes sense. Now we're going to talk about the ugly. The number one thing that I saw that was just awful was the lack of etiquette. That ties closely into the second thing, situational awareness. If you are lying astern at the start of a 1,000-kilometer race when the tires are not yet warmed up and people are still in very close proximity, why are you putting your car in a situation where if the other cars don't see you, you're taking out 4, 5, 6 cars? Why are we doing this? But that happened consistently across multiple time slots, multiple splits. A lot of you are turn 1 heroes. That's why you were P40 or worse. We had one time slot where we asked for a car to back off a little bit. We were trying to chase down P5. They didn't care. And they almost put us through a drive-through. We were lucky. Things like that is why you need to have race stewards in the special events. Because the first time that happens, the steward's going to say, hey, knock it off. They do it again, they just transport them as an artificial tow, and you get to the lane, and you go about your business, and you solve the issue. We were not the only ones that had major issues. A lot of people felt that other cars were blocking. A lot of people don't understand the blue flag laws are informational, not mandatory. And so those two things kind of tie together. The other thing is laughing at other misfortunes. I have lost respect for a fellow streamer. And for the record, it's not Soul, it's somebody else. Because they did a set of dum-dums. So I am not going to name them out because I don't want to flame war. But if you put a 1.7K driver in an elevated split, and I'm going to define what that is to help you out in a moment. You also have a 7.4K driver, and this car has a lot of damage and drives into a perfectly good car and ruins their top 10. All their team members need to have a timeout. You bench them for 2 weeks, maybe 4. In this case, from reading the report, it's 4. And you say, stop acting the fool. Your car has a lot of damage. Why are you challenging a top 10 car? Here's what's worse about it. You then get a message when we say, hey, why did you do this? And it's LOL. Unsat. This car is 8 laps down. They're trying to get to the end. But why are you sending such a damaged car out there 8 laps down? And why are they racing you into turn 1? And my teammate with Full Tilt said it very well. It's not an iRating thing either. It's common sense and spatial awareness. Fully agree. Fully agree. When you act the fool, you will be treated as one. Full stop. And taking delight in others' misfortunes is classless and it's tacky. In this case, This streamer, she should have known better. Now, when you talk about an elevated split, here's what I mean. Take your IR. If you're in a strength of field that is 10% or more higher, you're in an elevated split. Now, the split that I won in, I want to say it was 20, matter of fact, my phone has it. I want to say it was almost 2,500. So, tremendous victory. So, in time slot 4, the strength of field was 1966. In time slot 3, the one that we ended up winning, that was 2452 strength of field. And then time slot 1, that was Friday, 2280. So, in 2 of the 3, I'm in an elevated split. So, take your IR, let's say you were at 1500. So, if your strength of field is 1650 inclusive or higher, you're now above your normal split level. You have to race to a plan. This week was all about race management. If you managed your race, you got a score. You look at the 4 Suzuka races I ended up doing. The 3-hour enduro with a damaged car, P17, P13, P1, P6. It was all about race management. Also having good teammates, also having a very good car, also realizing the setup needed a little bit of improvement. We got more performance out of the car. Kurt's suggestion on the rear ARB because he drives GTPs, brilliant. He won us the race, full stop. But this whole laughing at others' misfortunes, this is why, for example, one of you out there who was all fussy because we asked you to back off, this is why you're 41st. Because you stopped caring. Then the separate incident with my brothers in Full Tilt, they didn't deserve that. Matter of fact, where did they end up? Let me see if they posted that yet. So they ended up 14th, but they should have ended up top 10. They deserved a better fate. So Will and Kerr, I believe, raced that. This is where you need live stewards. You need live stewards and you only need one per, and top splits you better have 2. But it's once again a case for live stewarding. I personally would consider what happened with the 1700 IR protestable. Because you knowingly put a car that had a lot of damage 8 laps down directly into the path of a challenging car. So, and then as I aforementioned, situational awareness, there's a specific part of that that I want to mention, and that is a lot of you tried to race this as a sprint race. And so what happened was, in the 3 races I was in, so in time slot 1, I started the race. Time slot 3, I was in second change. So there was already start driver and then first driver, second driver. And then time slot 4, I did stints 2 and 3. So I was the middle driver. So I was kind of over. Most of the accidents was lap 1, lap 2, or after 40 minutes had elapsed. Because most of you You'll do your 40-minute sprint races, maybe 45 if you do IMSA. But you don't know what the last 10 to 12 minutes of the tires are. And that's when you have to be very careful. Drive a car on worn tires. Just put fuel in, drive them on worn tires. You need to know that, especially with this new tire model. So, in summation, I'm over the moon. We're at 1911. Nathan sent me a message. Man, you've gotten all the gains today. Well, let's see if we can get to 2K. We're going to need a little bit of luck to get to 2K, but it's there. We have a chance. But I wanted to record this because I felt very convicted about it. The racing standard was too poor, especially in a 2.5K split and in time slot 4, which was 1900 and change, I think. It's too poor. Way too poor. People in the 40th positions racing you hard. Why? What good does it do? So that's pretty much it. I have no idea what the next race is. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to finish a number theory class at grad school. Getting ready for Thanksgiving and holidays. So that's important. The girls right now are going through all the Christmas stuff. We have so much Christmas stuff, and it's great. I love it. It's a great time of year. But I have forgotten some of the things we had, and I've just looked like, whoa, I forgot about this and this and this and this. So I want to enjoy that with them. They deserve it. It's been a hard year. It's been a hard year on all of us, but we're making it through. And so I'm very prayerful that this holiday season is a good one. So anyway, my friends, if you have any feedback, leave comments down below. But as always, take care of yourself. Take care of one another. God bless. We'll see you next time.